Black Woman of Saint-Rémy, an allegedly true French supernatural encounter. I never believed in ghosts, at least not until the summer of 2019. I was 26 then, a travel blogger wandering through small European towns, looking for quiet places to film. One of the last places I ever visited before quitting this whole thing was a nearly forgotten village in southern France called Saint-Rémy-du-Lac. According to locals, the town had fewer than 200 residents. No hotels, no signal, no real reason to stay, except for one little story I heard on my first night there. Inside Café du Chain, an old man named Marcel told me that once every few years, people saw La Noire, the Black Woman. He said she used to be a widow who lost her husband in World War I, and after his death, she walked into the nearby swamp wearing her wedding dress, never to return. Now, when night fogs cover the marsh, her figure reappears, drenched, silent, standing where the water meets the woods. She looks for her husband, Marcel said, and if she touches you, you follow her forever. Honestly, I laughed it off that night. France was full of romantic tragedies, right? The next evening, curiosity got the better of me. I wanted a good video for my viewers, something local, something eerie. I took my camera, flashlight, MIC, and drove my rental car to the forest path that led to the lake. The road was nothing but gravel, carved between walls of pines. When I turned off the engine, the silence felt too perfect. Not even the insects made a sound. I recorded my intro, whispered, "It's 12:47 a.m. I'm now walking into the forest of Saint-Rémy where the ghost of La Noire is said to appear." The camera caught everything, including the thin white mist spreading over the ground. My screen light flickered, then steadied. For a few minutes, nothing, just trees and water glimmering between them. Then, out of nowhere, I heard this clicking sound, like someone barefoot walking through shallow mud. I turned the camera toward it. Through the fog, there was a figure, tall, thin, all black, but not because of clothing, more like darkness itself moved with her. When I tried focusing, she looked clearer, an old-fashioned dress sticking to her skin, strands of hair across her face, and the head tilted just slightly, as if listening. "Boy, I whispered, stupidly. The sound stopped. Then a whisper came back, not an echo, but words in French. I caught only one phrase. "Tu ne devrais pas être ici, you shouldn't be here." My camera cut out right after that. Total darkness. No flashlight. No sound. The only thing I still remember clearly was the smell. Thick, like rain and rot mixed with cold iron. I don't remember how I found my car again. The next thing I knew, it was dawn, and I was parked beside the village fountain, shivering, with no recording on the SD card. Every file from that night was gone, except one. A 5-second clip of static and a woman's voice humming something soft, almost like a lullaby. Marcel found me that morning, pale and shaking. When I told him what happened, he didn't look surprised. He just patted my shoulder and said, "She doesn't show herself to everyone. You should leave before it rains again." I left that afternoon. 3 months later, out of curiosity or madness, I checked Google Maps. That whole area, the woods, the lake, even Saint-Rémy-du-Lac, was marked closed to visitors. Some local authorities have flooded it for environmental restoration. But sometimes at night, when I edit my travel videos, I swear that same humming sound plays faintly in the background, even when there's no audio track open. It had been almost 9 months since that night at the lake, 9 months since I last saw her. I don't even know why I went back. Maybe I needed proof that it wasn't just exhaustion or some hallucination. But one morning, in February, I woke up to an email from an unknown sender. No text, only a single attachment, a photo. It was me, standing by the lake, the same night I'd filmed there. Only, In the reflection of the water behind me, a pale hand rested on my shoulder. That image convinced me to return. When I arrived in Provence, the village didn't appear on my GPS anymore. The road to Saint-Rémy-du-Lac was unavailable. Still, I remember the path by instinct, the endless fields, the cypress trees bending under gray clouds. The closer I got, the quieter everything became. At the point where the road should have ended, there was a barricade and a weathered sign. Zone Fermi, risk inundation. Closed zone, flood hazard. But behind that, the forest still stood. And beyond the trees, I could see rooftops. I left the car, climbed over the barricade, and started walking. The air was colder than before, though it wasn't winter frost. Just heavy, like it didn't want me there. After 20 minutes, I reached the spot where the cafe had been. It was still there. Same door. Same wooden sign. Café du Chain. Inside, dim sunlight filtered through dust-coat windows. The tables were in place, yet everything looked untouched in a way that didn't make sense. Food still sat on one table, half-rotten, flies moving lazily above stale wine. And then I heard it. From the far corner, a soft humming. That same tune from my lost recording. My camera started flickering again, but this time I made sure to keep filming. I moved closer. There, behind the counter, sat Marcel, his skin gray, his eyes open but unblinking. In front of him was a notebook. My name was written on it. When I reached out to touch it, he spoke, or maybe the air spoke through him. She remembers you. The next second, every window shattered. The humming turned into screaming wind. My flashlight buzzed, throwing me into total dark. In that instant, I saw her again, standing where the entrance had been. Water dripped from her dress. Her head tilted slightly, like before, only this time she smiled. I ran, through the forest, through the fog, until my lungs burned and the world stretched into miles of endless gray. Eventually I reached what should have been the edge of the woods, but instead there was only the lake. And in the middle of the lake, the bell tower of Saint-Rémy still rose, half submerged, still ringing faintly despite the windless air. I dropped to my knees, shaking, camera clutched in hand. Behind me, quiet footsteps squelched in the mud. I didn't look back this time. Just one touch, light and cold, brushed my shoulder, the same spot as in the photo. When I woke again, I was in my car, miles away, engine still running. The footage was gone. Again, only one new file remained. A still image, the bell tower, underwater, with someone standing beside it. Not her, me.